Living in Sycamore Heights, I never expected that my backyard chickens would trigger an all-out war with my HOA's most ruthless board member. What's more, she kept stealing my fresh eggs right from my coop when Margaret pushed me too far with threats of massive fines. How was I supposed to know that my brilliant egg-based revenge plan would completely transform our entire neighborhood? The sound of my alarm jolted me awake at 5:30 a.m. I groaned, but quickly remembered why I'd set it so early: my chickens. 6 months earlier, I'd built a beautiful coop in my backyard here in Sycamore Heights. My girls, Henrietta, Pepper, Goldie, and Ruby, rewarded me with the most delicious eggs I'd ever tasted. "Good morning, ladies," I called softly as I stepped into the coop. Immediately, something felt off. Yesterday, I'd counted 8 perfect eggs. Today, only 3 sat in the nesting boxes. Strange. Maybe the girls were stressed. Consequently, I scratched my head, collected the remaining eggs, and headed inside to start breakfast. This pattern continued for a week. Each morning, there were fewer eggs than expected. As a result, I started counting obsessively, tracking laying patterns in a little notebook. My chickens were definitely producing, but someone was taking them. But who would steal eggs? I mentioned it to my neighbor Tom while watering my garden. "You know Margaret from the HOA board has been walking by your house every morning," he said casually. "I noticed because she's never up that early usually." Margaret Wilkins. Just the name made my stomach tighten. She'd moved to Sycamore Heights 3 years ago and immediately joined the Homeowners Association board. Since then, she'd implemented stricter rules about everything from mailbox colors to how long garbage cans could remain at the curb. "You think she's stealing my eggs?" I asked, bewildered. Tom shrugged. "Wouldn't put it past her. She's been showing everyone pictures of your coop, saying it breaks community guidelines." My blood began to boil. I'd checked the HOA handbook thoroughly before building my coop. There were rules about structures, certainly, but nothing specifically prohibiting chickens. In fact, I'd made sure my coop was clean, attractive, and the right distance from property lines. The next morning, I skipped my usual routine. Instead, I hid behind my garden shed with my phone camera ready. At 6:15 a.m., like clockwork, a figure in designer workout clothes slipped through my side gate. Margaret. Her ponytail bounced as she crept toward my coop, looking nervously over her shoulder. She eased open the door, reached inside, and carefully placed several eggs into a small fabric bag. I stepped out from my hiding spot. "Finding everything okay, Margaret?" I asked, my voice cutting through the morning quiet. She jumped so high, she nearly dropped the eggs. Her face flushed bright red, then quickly morphed into a self-righteous frown. "I'm gathering evidence," she said, chin raised. "Your little farm operation violates community standards." "Does evidence gathering usually involve trespassing?" I asked calmly, although my heart was racing. "And stealing?" "It's not stealing when it's contraband," she replied with a smirk. From her purse, she pulled out an official-looking paper. "This is a notice of violation. Your chicken coop must be removed within 7 days or you'll face a $100 daily fine." I took the paper, my hands trembling slightly. "There's nothing in the bylaws prohibiting chickens." "The board voted on new amendments last month," she announced triumphantly. "No livestock allowed, including chickens." Her smile widened. "You should have come to the meeting." I had been working late shifts that week. She knew this. Margaret worked at the same hospital, although she was in administration while I was a nurse. "The eggs are just bonus evidence," she continued, dropping them into her expensive purse, "though they are delicious in my morning smoothie." As she strutted away victorious, I stood frozen. My chickens weren't just pets. They were therapy. After long hospital shifts, watching them peck around the yard, listening to their soft clucking, it calmed me like nothing else. And those fresh eggs were reducing my grocery bills significantly during tough times. That night, I couldn't sleep. I reviewed the HOA documents again. The amendment had indeed passed, but they hadn't followed proper notification procedures. Still fighting the HOA would be exhausting and potentially expensive. While browse online forums about HOA disputes, I stumbled upon stories of other homeowners using creative solutions. One caught my eye, a person who had dealt with fruit thieves using fake fruits filled with dye. Suddenly, a light bulb went off in my head. I spent my day off driving to craft stores, gathering supplies. I found ceramic eggs designed for crafters, small tubes of washable blue dye, and silicone sealant. Back home, I drilled tiny holes in the ceramic eggs, filled them with the dye, and sealed them carefully. Once dry, I placed them prominently in the nesting boxes, hiding the real eggs in a different spot. My heart raced as I went to bed that night. Was this childish? Maybe. But Margaret had pushed me too far. She wasn't just enforcing rules, she was enjoying it, stealing my eggs for her personal use while threatening my peaceful backyard hobby. Sometimes you just need to stand up to bullies, I whispered to myself as I drifted off to sleep, wondering what morning would bring. At 6:22 a.m., a blood-curdling scream echoed through the neighborhood. I was already awake waiting. I peeked through my blinds to see Margaret, standing by my coupe hands and designer outfit splattered with bright blue dye. One of my ceramic eggs lay shattered at her feet. I grabbed my phone and headed outside, already recording. "Is everything okay, Margaret?" I asked innocently. She whirled toward me, her face contorted with fury. "You did this on purpose. Look at my clothes, my hands. This is assault." "I'm confused," I said, continuing to record. "Why are you in my yard at 600 a.m. and why are you touching my decorative eggs?" "Decorative," she sputtered. "You booby-trapped them." "They're craft projects," I said with a straight face. "I like to keep them in the coop as inspiration for the chickens. The real question is, why are you trespassing on my property again?" Margaret's eyes narrowed to slits. "I'm calling the police and the HOA attorney. You'll be sorry you ever moved to Sycamore Heights." As she fumbled with her blue-stained phone, I said calmly, "Before you do that, you should know I have security camera footage of you stealing my eggs every day this week. Trespassing and theft are actual crimes, Margaret. My decorating choices aren't." She froze, weighing her options. "Delete that video right now," she demanded. "I can't do that, but maybe we can make a deal. You leave my chickens alone. I'll keep the footage to myself." For a moment, I thought she might agree. Then her face hardened. "You have no idea, who you're dealing with," she hissed. "I run this neighborhood. By next week, everyone here will think you're the neighborhood menace, not me." As she stormed off, leaving blue footprints down my garden path, I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. Had I just declared war on the most powerful person in Sycamore Heights? 3 days passed with no sign of Margaret. Just when I thought maybe she'd given up, the email arrived. Subject line: Emergency HOA meeting, health hazard at 1422 Wisteria Lane. I clicked it open with trembling fingers. Margaret had scheduled an emergency board meeting for Friday evening to discuss the dangerous conditions at my property, complete with accusations about toxic substances and aggressive behavior toward board members. She'd even included photos of her blue-stained hands as evidence. What she hadn't mentioned, of course, was her trespassing or egg theft. The email made it sound like she'd been conducting an official inspection when she was attacked by my booby traps. My phone started buzzing with text messages from neighbors. "What's going on? Are you keeping dangerous animals? My kids walk by your house to school." Margaret had forwarded her message to the entire neighborhood, not just the board. My stomach sank. She was turning everyone against me before I could even defend myself. I needed help. I called my sister Lisa, who worked as a paralegal. "She can't do this," Lisa assured me after I explained everything. First, emergency meetings require specific conditions under HOA bylaws. Second, she was trespassing. Third, you have evidence. "But she's the HOA president's best friend," I said miserably. "Nobody's going to take my side." "Then make your case public," Lisa suggested. "HOAs hate publicity. Create a website showing your adorable chickens, the health benefits of fresh eggs, the environmental impact of local food. Post your security footage. Make it so embarrassing for them that they back down." I spent that night building a simple website titled "Save Our Sycamore Chickens." I uploaded photos of my immaculate coop, my happy, healthy hens, and most importantly, the security footage showing Margaret sneaking into my yard 6 days in a row. I added research about how backyard chickens don't negatively affect property values. They weren't affected in my area anyway, and that their noise levels are minimal compared to dogs. I included testimonials from friends who'd enjoyed my fresh eggs, plus documentation about how my setup met all health and safety guidelines. The next morning, I printed flyers with a QR code linking to my website and quietly placed them in neighbors' mailboxes before heading to work. By lunchtime, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Most messages were supportive. "Had no idea Margaret was stealing from you. Your coop is beautiful. Can my kids visit sometime? I'll speak at the meeting in your favor." But a few were clearly from Margaret's friends. "You're making our neighborhood look trashy. Nobody wants to smell chicken poop." The most surprising text came from George Anderson, our 80-year-old neighbor. "She's been stealing my tomatoes too. Count me in for the meeting." Friday evening arrived. I dressed carefully in professional clothes and arrived early at the community center. Already the parking lot was fuller than I'd ever seen for an HOA meeting. Clearly news of Margaret's email had spread like wildfire. Inside, people were choosing sides quite literally. Margaret's supporters sat on the left, mine on the right. I was shocked to see more people on my side, including many I barely knew. Margaret entered with HOA President Thompson, a retired judge with steel gray hair, and 2 other board members. Her normally perfect appearance seemed strained, her smile tight. She glared when she saw the crowd. President Thompson banged his gavel, calling the meeting to order. "This emergency meeting will come to order. We're here to address a complaint about the property at 1422 Wisteria Lane, specifically regarding unauthorized livestock and alleged retaliatory actions against an HOA board member." He looked uncomfortable. "Before we begin, I must inform everyone that Channel 8 News contacted us about this matter. Apparently, someone has been sharing information with local media." Heads turned. Whispers erupted. Margaret's face reddened. Good, I thought. This was my first surprise for her. Margaret, however, couldn't wait. Holding up her hands, which still had faint blue stains, she interrupted dramatically. She deliberately set a trap that ruined my clothes and could have been dangerous. I raised my hand calmly. "Before we address the egg incident," I said clearly, "I'd like to understand why Ms. Wilkins was on my property at 6:00 a.m. without permission and why she's been stealing my eggs for weeks." Murmurs spread through the room. Thompson looked confused. "What is she talking about, Margaret?" Margaret's face flushed. "I was conducting an inspection," she stammered. "Without notice or permission," I pressed. "Is that standard HOA procedure?" "Also," I continued, "does a standard inspection involve removing items from someone's private property?" "Show them the video," called a voice from the back. Others joined in. Thompson sighed. "Do you have evidence of these allegations?" I connected my laptop to the projector. The footage was unmistakable, Margaret entering my property day after day, taking eggs, never conducting any kind of inspection. When the lights came back on, Margaret was furiously whispering to Thompson. He looked increasingly uncomfortable. Even if she was taking eggs, which I'm not confirming at this time, Thompson said carefully, the issue remains that backyard chickens violate our new amendment. About that amendment, I said, pulling out papers. According to Section 7 of the bylaws, amendments require written notice to all homeowners 30 days prior to the vote. No such notice was sent. Furthermore, I have 10 homeowners here tonight who can confirm they received no notification. That makes the amendment invalid. Thompson took the papers frowning. We sent emails to some residents. Emails aren't sufficient written notice for a bylaw amendment affecting property use, I countered gently. My research into county ordinances also shows that backyard hens are specifically permitted in residential areas like ours. The HOA bylaws only mention prohibiting livestock that creates excessive noise or odor. I then showed photos of my immaculate coop setup, highlighting how clean and quiet it was. I also presented testimonials from my immediate neighbors, confirming they weren't bothered by noise or smell. Next came my masterstroke. I revealed the community survey I'd conducted, showing that a significant majority, 72% of Sycamore Heights residents, actually supported allowing backyard hens. I'd quietly built this support over the past month, while Margaret thought I was simply awaiting my punishment. And regarding the alleged explosive device, I continued, it was a ceramic egg filled with washable craft dye. I demonstrated with a sample, squeezing some dye onto a cloth, a harmless deterrent placed on my own property to identify who was stealing from me. As you can see, the dye washes out with regular laundry soap. Just as I finished, the back door opened, and a Channel 8 news reporter slipped in with a cameraman. Perfect timing. President Thompson cleared his throat. We'll take a 15-minute recess before voting. During the break, an elderly man approached me, his hands trembling as he spoke. I'm Frank Miller, Huck, he said quietly. Margaret's been taking my prize tomatoes for months, said they violated some rule about garden heights. His voice cracked. I was too scared to say anything after my wife died. This garden is all I have. Others gathered around, sharing similar stories. Margaret had been running a neighborhood reign of terror, selectively enforcing rules against people she disliked. When the meeting reconvened, something unexpected happened. Thompson invited others to speak. One by one, neighbors stood to share their experiences with Margaret's peculiar brand of enforcement, the stolen flowers, the borrowed lawnmower, the mail-order packages she'd helped herself to. The final vote wasn't even close. The board ruled 6-1 that my chickens could stay and that the amendment was invalid due to improper notification. They also opened an investigation into Margaret's conduct as an HOA officer. As the meeting adjourned, Margaret rushed toward me, her face twisted with rage. This isn't over. I'll appeal to the county. I'll sue you personally. I simply handed her a bottle of laundry detergent with a smile. For your blouse. Instructions are on the back. The news crew caught the whole exchange on camera. Tomorrow, all of Sycamore Heights would be eating breakfast while watching Margaret's humiliation on the morning news. I should have felt victorious, but something in her expression worried me. She wasn't giving up. This battle was just beginning, and I wondered what her next move would be. As George Anderson patted my shoulder and invited me to see his garden tomorrow, I spotted Margaret in the parking lot, talking intensely with someone in an expensive car I didn't recognize. Who was her powerful friend, and what were they planning? I had won this round, but Margaret's words echoed in my mind. You have no idea who you're dealing with. What I didn't realize was how deeply Margaret's roots in our community went, or how dangerous a cornered bully could become when her power was threatened. Rain pounded against my kitchen window 3 days after the HOA meeting. I sipped my coffee, watching my hens huddle in their covered run. The Channel 8 news segment had aired yesterday, painting Margaret as a rogue HOA enforcer and me as the plucky homeowner who stood up to tyranny. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing with supportive messages, but the victory felt hollow. Margaret's car hadn't moved from her driveway since the meeting. Rumors spread that she'd called in sick to her real estate job. Part of me felt guilty. I wanted justice, not to destroy someone. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find President Thompson standing there soaking wet without an umbrella. "May I come in? It's important." I led him to my kitchen table, offering a towel and coffee. "Margaret resigned from the board this morning," he said, staring into his mug. "But that's not why I'm here. The board has been doing some accounting." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were bank statements showing over $14,000 missing from the HOA Reserve Fund. "We think Margaret has been skimming for years," he explained. "Small amounts, maintenance fees for services never performed. She handled all the paperwork herself." My mind raced. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're good at research. You understand the bylaws better than most of us, and frankly, you stood up when others wouldn't." He sighed heavily. "The board wants to offer you Margaret's position." I nearly choked on my coffee. "You want me to join the HOA board after everything that happened? Sometimes the best watchdogs are the ones who've been bitten," he said. "We need someone who questions things." I told him I'd think about it. After he left, I walked through the rain to check on my chickens. They clucked happily, unfazed by the weather or HOA politics. Later that afternoon, a moving truck appeared outside Margaret's house. I watched from my window as workers loaded furniture. Margaret supervised from under an umbrella, never once looking toward my house. My phone rang. An unknown number. "Is this the chicken lady, sir?" A gruff voice asked. "Who's calling?" "Name's Mike Riley. I run Sunnyside Community Garden over in Pine Crest. Saw you on the news. Impressive work." He explained that community gardens across the county had been fighting similar battles with HOAs and city ordinances. They wanted to form a coalition to protect urban farming rights, and they wanted me to help lead it. "We need someone who knows how to fight smart," Mike said. "Someone who uses the rules instead of just yelling about them." Before I could answer, a crash from outside made me jump. I rushed to the window to see Margaret storming across my front yard, wielding a garden rake. Behind her, my chicken coop door hung open. I dropped the phone and ran outside. "Margaret, what are you doing?" Fixing the problem permanently, she swung the rake wildly. "If those birds are gone, there's nothing to protect." My chickens scattered across the yard, flapping in panic as rain poured down. "Stop, this is insane." I tried to block her slipping in the mud. "You ruined me," she screamed. 20 years on that board, my reputation, all because of your stupid eggs. Ow! Neighbors emerged from their houses watching in shock. Someone was filming with their phone. I managed to grab the rake handle. "Margaret, please. This isn't helping anything." "Let go." She yanked hard, sending us both tumbling into the mud. We sat there soaked and filthy as my chickens clucked nervously around us. The sheer absurdity of the situation hit me, and I started to laugh. After a moment, Margaret's rage crumbled and she began to laugh too, a broken, exhausted sound. "I'm moving to Arizona," she finally said. "My sister lives there." "No way, good choice," I replied, standing and offering her my hand. She hesitated, then took it. As I helped her up, I realized the entire neighborhood was watching. Among them stood Frank Miller, protectively clutching a potted tomato plant. Margaret looked around at the crowd, then back at me. "I never stole any money," she whispered. "They'll pin that on me, too." "If you didn't take it," I said quietly, "help me find out who did. Make it right before you leave." Something shifted in her eyes. She nodded once, then walked away through the crowd. 2 weeks later, the truth emerged. The HOA treasurer, a quiet man named Robert, who had always supported Margaret, had been embezzling funds for years. Margaret had suspected, but looked the other way in exchange for his votes on the board. My investigation had unintentionally exposed both of them. I did join the HOA board eventually. My first proposal was a comprehensive urban farming ordinance that protected both property values and homeowners' rights to grow food. It passed unanimously. Margaret sent me a postcard from Arizona 6 months later. No message, just a photo of desert chickens, Gamble's quail running across the sand. I keep it on my refrigerator next to the newspaper clipping about our new community garden, where neighbors now share everything from gardening tips to fresh eggs. The blue-filled ceramic egg still sits on my windowsill. I don't need it anymore, but I keep it as a reminder that sometimes standing your ground doesn't mean standing alone, and sometimes your worst enemy can become the catalyst for your community to become something better. Every morning when I collect eggs now, I find myself oddly grateful to Margaret. In trying to take something from me, she accidentally helped me find my voice and my place in this community. This story teaches us that standing up for yourself, even against seemingly powerful bullies, can empower not only you, but your entire community. It shows the importance of knowing your rights, gathering evidence, and finding allies. Sometimes, the conflict we try to avoid is exactly what's needed to expose hidden problems and bring about positive change for everyone. What do you think? Have you ever had to deal with a difficult neighbor or HOA? Share your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale of feathered friends and neighborhood drama, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.